Thanks for staying with us on the conversation. And away from South Africa, let's now turn our attention to Nigeria, where the legal team of the Labour Party is currently in a meeting with officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Abuja, over the inspection of electoral materials used for the February 25 presidential poll. The head of the Labour Party legal team, Dr. Levi Uzuku, led 60 lawyers to discuss the modalities for obtaining the documents and are expected to brief journalists after the meeting. The Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council had earlier threatened to embark on a mass protest to INEC officers if the Independent National Electoral Commission fails to allow its lawyers access to materials used for the February 25 presidential election.
Now, following dissatisfaction with the election results that declared the APC candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu winner, the Labour Party had filed an appeal to the court seeking to have access to the electoral materials. This appeal, which was granted by the Election Petition Tribunal, an appeal court, according to lawyers of the Labour Party, has failed to grant the warring parties access. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court last Wednesday granted INEC a court injunction to reconfigure the bimodal accreditation, voter accreditation system, otherwise known as BVAS, machines ahead of the gubernatorial and state assembly elections. This further led to the postponement of the elections to March the 18th, formerly slated for March 11th. Now, join us to discuss all of this. We have Ehi Amokwale, is a rights campaigner. He joins from Lagos, Nigeria, and also Nnameka Obiareri, is a political analyst, also joining from Lagos. And we have Ambrose Iboke, also a political affairs analyst. So, one welcome to you, gentlemen, and thanks for joining us on the conversation. Now, I'd like to start with... It's a pleasure to have you. Now, I'd like to start with Nnameka. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakub has assured the Labour Party's legal team that the Commission will provide all the documents it requested to prosecute its case. As we speak right now, they're currently in a meeting. What do you make of this new development? And looking at the time frame, we have elections on Saturday. Would this still be possible to have them inspect all these election materials?
The INEC leadership and over time have proven that they are very unreliable, they are untrustworthy, and nobody can rely on their own commitments. Remember this, the court gave the order on March 3rd, 2023. And from March 3rd, today we are in March 13th, 10 days after. INEC is still pussyfooting and dilly-dallying in allowing Labour Party forensic analysts and lawyers to have access to electoral materials. INEC is actually behaving as if it's an arm and appendage of the ruling APC. From his commitment on November 20th, when he said that the BVAS will work and the elections will be transmitted from the polling units, Mahmood Yakub and the leadership of INEC have gone 360 degrees in disobedience, flagrant disobedience of the electoral guidelines and the 2022 new electoral law. So I am very, very pessimistic. I do not believe that INEC will provide unhindered access to the Labour Party legal luminaries to be able to review those materials. Today is March 13th. The next election is 18th of March. The court gave the order on March 3rd. I don't understand how it will be possible for them to be able to do it. We are talking about 176,000 polling booths and the BVAS that is almost double that amount. So, you know, let's see what they can do. I know that INEC somehow felt threatened because the Labour Party have threatened to go to the streets, and maybe that is what moved them. I don't see this election holding March 18th because from now till March 18th is a very short time. The court has given order that Labour Party must access all the electoral materials within the hold of INEC, and INEC must obey the court's order. INEC is an institution of the federal government of Nigeria. INEC is established by an act of parliament, and INEC is honor bound to make sure that they adhere to the order of the court and give the Labour Party legal luminaries the unfettered access to review those matters. If it means postponing the March 18th election, they will have to do it. The order of the court is sacrosanct and must be obeyed. We are not in a banana republic. Nigeria is a federal republic under law, and we must obey the laws of the land.
All right, thank you so much, Inemeka. I'm going to bring Ambrose, and this is still about the supremacy of the rule of law, obeying the constitution, obeying the law courts. And we've seen quite a delay. Today, we saw INEC and about 60 lawyers of the Labour Party having a meeting. We're still waiting to see the product of this meeting. But just like Inemeka said, they have been granted the access to the inspection of electoral materials since March 3rd. This is March 13th. The INEC chairman is saying that he would allow them inspect. So first of all, what do you think is the reason for the delay from March 3rd to March 13th? And are you also as pessimistic as Inemeka, or do you feel that INEC has taken its time and will in due time follow the proceedings of the court?
Well, fortunately, let me use the word fortunately, I don't share Inemeka's pessimism. This is because at this crucial time, we need to be very optimistic. We need to hope for the best for our country, Nigeria. We have no other country. So despite the miasma of INEC, we need to hold them accountable and make sure that they do the right thing. We cannot just give up hope and despair. We must hold INEC to do what it ought to do. INEC has lost the trust of Nigerians because on so many occasions, we remember that there were November last year when there was a strong rumor mill, even in the Nigerian mainstream media, that INEC was going to jettison the transmission of electronic transmission of results from the polling unit. INEC called for a press conference and denied that rumor and said that there were service to the Nigerian citizens, only for INEC to renege on that promise on the day of the election. So this has eroded a lot of confidence in INEC. But after saying that, we also know that, as Inemeka opined, which is absolutely correct, that Nigeria is a country of rule of law. INEC cannot be greater than the Electoral Act. INEC cannot be greater than the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. INEC cannot be greater than the Supreme Court. Therefore, INEC must obey its laws. Now, remember that the court on March 3rd gave LP the right to inspect the INEC materials. But we know that INEC also went to court. And by Wednesday last week, INEC got a court order also, mandating it that it can go ahead to reconfigure the BVAS machines. So both ways you look at it, INEC is also following court order. INEC did not just go say they won't do it. They actually approached the courts, and the court granted them that leave to say, okay, go ahead and reconfigure. Because INEC stated
sorry,
that
Ambrose, I'm going to cut you short there. Sorry for cutting you short there. Now, we had the first indictment, the first appeal, saying that they should allow for the inspection. That was before the reconfiguration. So I know you're not a legal practitioner, but we're wondering in terms of the person who filed first, which should have been, first of all, attended to. There should have been inspection of materials and then in reconfiguration, or do you think reconfiguration should come before the inspection of the materials?
Well, the inspection was supposed to come, but INEC saying that if the BVAS machine were not reconfigured on time, that it will not be able to meet the timeline for the governorship election. So INEC actually went to court for the court to grant it order to go ahead and reconfigure. Now, before the court, INEC avowed through the positions in the court, affidavits in the court, that all the materials that is needed for inspection, especially the software and the soft copy part of it, has actually been harvested in the back end, and they are available for inspection. That all the materials available in BVAS, that it will not be lost. All the contents of BVAS will not be lost if it is reconfigured, because they have been harvested and it's in the back end, and the technical team of Labour Party can inspect it. That was the position INEC made before the court. So if INEC didn't do that, and it is found out that they actually went ahead to reconfigure the BVAS without actually harvesting it to all the content to the back end, then backing it up, then that means INEC has lied to the courts of the land, and that is contempt of court. So that Professor Yakubu has to be arrested, and INEC that means the election have to be started. We have to start the election all over again, because you cannot, wipe away the data for.
But these are just assumptions, and it's very important for us to state that these are assumptions. You're just looking at a possible scenario. Yes.
No, it was said that INEC in the courts deposited an affidavit. That was what even the interviews granted by Labour Party lawyers said. That they deposited the affidavit in court saying that the materials are safe.
Okay.
So that on the strength of that is why the court granted that permission for them to reconfigure the PVAS machine.
Okay.
So if INEC went ahead to reconfigure the thing they told the court is a lie, then there's no
it's contempt of court.
For
exactly.
That's contempt of court, and that is perjury. So it cannot be allowed.
Thank you, Ambrose. I'd like to bring Ehi Omokwale into the conversation. Now, Ehi, INEC seems to be in the eye of the storm. Quite a lot of people, international observers, Nigerians, political parties, were not satisfied with its conduct and performance in the presidential elections. INEC has had about 3 weeks now to redeem its image and perform better in the upcoming gubernatorial elections, the state assembly elections. Are you confident in INEC delivering an improved electoral process this Saturday? And if you have any reservations on INEC, please would you like to share with us?
Thank you very much. You know, the question of trust depends always on antecedents. When in the past there was no reason to trust INEC, why should I trust INEC now? It's so unfortunate that after President Muhammadu Buhari signed the Electoral Amendment Bill in February 2022, Nigerians felt, oh, our votes are going to count now. They felt their votes are going to count now. But here we are still talking about electoral fraud, malpractices, you know, machines being manually manipulated when the INEC's new law had specified electronically transfer of results from all the units. This is so sad. This is what we've been going through for a long time. And we thought by now we're going to move forward and then behave like civilized people behave in other climes. But it's so sad that we are still backpedaling instead of forward marching. You know, but I will advise Peter Obi and Labour Party not to worry. In ICT, in information technology, when you reconfigure, dates of reconfiguration can never be changed. It's there, it's inbuilt. So when the time comes, they will see the dates. Let them reconfigure. Actually, the inspection should have come before the configuration. But why reconfigure? And then now, even the party, the court is not sure of granting the power of inspection. So there is cause for worry. It's so sad. You know, this is 2023. This is not 1993 when we had NRC and SDP. We have a group. We have a new generation of people who are computer savvy. Our youth then were so lackadaisical about elections and voting. Now they've woken up because President Muhammadu Buhari has signed the Electoral Amendment Bill. You could see the zeal with which people came out, especially youth, to get to register and get their PVCs. Right. And the disappointment is massive. It's general all over the country, all over the world. Everybody's disappointed in INEC. I hope they will correct themselves and make things work well before 18th of March 2023.
Okay, Inemeka, earlier on you made a position saying that probably one of the main assumption rather is a speculation that probably one of the reasons why we're seeing this meeting between INEC and the 60 lawyers is due to the fact that Labour Party had called for a protest today, Monday. But days ago, Peter Obi told supporters not to turn court to protest ground. But in a recent interview, actually said he would apply both. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Should Peter Obi, the Labour Party, just stick to the court, Or do you feel that protests are the best way to go, or the best way that people feel that they would be answered by the government?
P2B has always believed in the rule of law. P2B is a man of peace. P2B has demonstrated clearly that he loves Nigeria and is not desperate to be president. P2B believes so much that nobody's ambition is worth the blood of any Nigerian. Nigerians are frustrated so far because massively, I ask this question for anybody who cares to listen. If you go to the internet today and just Google, you will see more than 1,000 videos of polling booth reports where people were jubilating polling units that was won by P2B. But you can never go to the internet and you see any video of any poll unit won by the APC candidate who has been declared as a winner by INEC. Try it and you will see for yourself. So P2B wants the process to be followed, the rule of law to be obeyed. So INEC must obey the rule of law. Where INEC fails the rule of law, to obey the rule of law, they may force Nigerians to take to the streets to enforce their citizens' right to make sure that the laws are obeyed. And now, INEC also seem not to have learned lessons from the 25th. They've not come out to tell us what happened. They've not given us any apology. In fact, towards March 18th, intelligence reports show that INEC officials and some of the security agencies are also still planning to rig elections of March 18th. I come from Imo State. I just came back from Imo State.
When you say intelligence reports, what are your sources? Because we have to be careful about the sort of things we allege on national television.
Let me tell you this. I come from Okigwe local government area. Elections were not held in 6 polling booths, 6 wards out of 11 wards. Results were declared. These are incontrovertible. Evidence are very there. I come from a community where less than 20 people are still in the community. Most of them are in ITP camps. No elections held. Results were declared. As I'm talking to you today, ask anybody in Imo State. The 27 sole administrators in Imo State are now having more than 10, 20 military men at every local government chairman's house, which is very unusual. And what is the plan? The same thing they did on 25th of February. Stay in one place, write a result, stop every agent of any other political party from coming in, ram it down the throat of the people, and then say, go to court. These are credible. See, ask anybody. You are a journalist. Do your own investigation. I know what it means to come on air, a global media station like you, to make this submission. 27 solars in Imo State, or Kibo to be precise, where I come from. Each of them, they are all planning to sit at their homes, write a result. So INEC must keep to their word and promises. Let us call 25th of February error. On March 18th, INEC must conduct an election, paste result at the polling unit, and transmit from the poll units. The military must also call their soldiers to order. Officers should not be allowed to be used by INEC or by APC officials where they control the state to rig elections. The sovereignty of Nigeria must be protected. The integrity of our elections must be protected. People must know that in a democracy, it's government of the people, for the people, by the people. The will of the people must not in any way or form be subverted, because it is treasonous if they do so.
Thank you, Nomeka. Quickly, Ambrose, just before we wrap up our conversation, having the luxury of hindsight that we have now, do you think INEC overpromised and under-delivered when it comes to the use of the BVAS machine? Because when it came to reading of biometrics and, just accrediting voters, it performed excellently well. But the problems Nigerians have, and you need to understand that we live in a low-trust environment, there's a trust deficit between the people and any government institution, was that part where they promised to transmit results electronically at the IRF platforms, and that didn't happen. So should that aspect, I don't know if the Electoral Act can still be amended, definitely not now, but should it be jettisoned? Looking at our use of technology in the country, it's a low technology environment too.
Well, Nigeria has, when you think of June 12, 1993 election, you find out that it was option A4, where people were physically queuing behind candidates. And you can see how we have progressed since that time, that we progressed to 1999. We now progressed, 2003, new technologies were introduced until 2015, when the other country leaders were introduced. And then we now have what we call the beavers. The technologies are always good. The technologies are great. They are great inventions that will help our election. But it's the mindset of the people that subvert technology. For example, INEC promised us everything about this election, about the beavers, about the transmission to IREV and everything. Then accreditation, you could find out that in this election, you will see that the number of those accredited to vote are far more below since we, started our democracy in 1999. This goes to show that this was actual voters, unlike before when people just manufacture figures and quote that Lagos had 6 million voters, Kano 3 million, for the Port Harcourt 2 million. Oh, no. We can see that the actual voters have now come out. Having said that, INEC was not supposed to do what it ought to do. And then till today, INEC has not explained to us what happened. We have been hearing from the rumor mill that the server just was switched off. INEC has not come to say anything. And then the arrogance of INEC. Your staff and ad hoc staff were not able to send this thing online real time as you promised. And throughout the day of 25th, you said nothing. It was in the midnight of 25th that INEC started even issued a very Festus Oko issued a very test statement, not addressing the issues. Then you went ahead to do collation despite the protest, without even addressing the issue. So that made people very, very worried about the stance of INEC, about the arrogance. INEC does, exemplify the high level of arrogance, which a public servant is not ought to exhibit, because you are a servant to the people. So we are looking forward to making sure that INEC is held accountable this time around, that the results will be transmitted electronically, as I said. Now, we have been having distorting voices saying that INEC has a right to determine the modules of how it transmits the result. But it was dead. We know that the law empowers INEC to do that. But this INEC chose the electronic transmission of the results. They were the ones that chose it. Nigerians didn't choose that method for them. They were the ones that chose it and came to inform us that that is the opus operandi of modus operandi of the election. And then they went back and reneged on it. Therefore, those people are trying to twist it from technical legal means, saying that it has a prerogative. It exercises prerogative by telling Nigerians that this is how we are going to do it. And now they've chose that.
So they should have kept to their promise. I really wish you could go on.
The method they chose.
All right.
The one that chose that process.
Thank you so much, Ambrose. I really wish you could go on, but unfortunately we had to cut the conversation here. We're caught in between INEC fulfilling its promises, and if Nigeria is ready for this electronic transmission of result, are we going to see the same thing happen March 18? Well, we wait to see. Thank you so much, Ambrose Ibuke, for joining us in the conversation. Ehi Omokwale for joining us, a rights campaigner from Lagos, Nigeria, and Inemeka Obiari. Thank you so much for joining us on the conversation.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. This is where we draw the anchor on today's program. I'm Benga Bora. Thanks for watching.
And I'm Rita Almodia. Bye-bye.